There's a poll that we have up that's really interesting because a lot of people have been wondering, okay, what's the impact? What's going to happen? What's your view of Sean Combs? What do you think his life's going to be like after he's ultimately released from prison, if he's sentenced to prison, or if he's released today, which looks unlikely? But has your opinion of Diddy changed since his conviction? So 39% of the people polled say not at all. 32% never liked him. 19% say completely. And 10% say a little. What do you think, Sierra? What's your take?
I think it's an interesting poll, right? To show that a lot of people, it seems as though their, opinions of P. Diddy haven't necessarily changed. And maybe that's because they never liked him to begin with. I mean, if we're talking about, since conviction, he has now officially been convicted of this crime. Okay. However, prior to all of this, we've been reporting on this. I remember very specifically the first sidebar, Jesse, that you hosted was November of 2023, because of course that's when Kathy Ventura filed her bombshell lawsuit. And then after that, it's hard to keep track of the number of civil lawsuits that came out. So perhaps maybe it's all of these people who are watching right now who their opinion of P. Diddy changed back then when we first had Cassie. And then of course, we're talking about Jane Doe or Liza Gardner, etc. All of the many lawsuits leading up to Lil Rod and the many others that trickled out after that. And of course, I'm sure following Law&Crime coverage of the trial here, where you and Elizabeth Milner broke down everything, I think that probably changed a lot of the court of public opinion about P. Diddy, hearing these allegations against him and what it was really like inside the bedroom or hotel room, rather, what it was like during those, Wild King nights or freak-offs. And I'm sure for a lot of people, that could have changed their opinion of P. Diddy. But, I mean, I guess it remains to be seen what's ahead for his future, whether he can ever bounce back in terms of, cultural significance. I've said this from the start, I don't think Diddy's going anywhere quietly. Even if people, by and large, don't like him, he still has his niche section of supporters.
Interesting you say that, because I'm going back to this update from court. Nicole Westmoreland speaking on his behalf. She says, he's just trying to help. He opened 3 charter schools in neighborhoods where the schools were not good. The motto was Black Excellence. The youth are our future. Mr. Combs personally inspired me. I went to an event in D.C. Mr. Combs was there. He said, listen, everyone, I'm sorry. He said, don't be afraid to dream. Just remember to wake up and put actions behind your dreams. And then he said, don't forget to help others. That changed my life. Now, I think when she said, I'm sorry, I think she is crying in court. Look, Doctor, I wonder if that is impacting the judge here. Maybe not necessarily the emotion, maybe the emotion of the attorney, but talking about the impact he had, the career that he had, the future. I mean, do judges consider the impact that someone can have, the benefit they might have to society?
I believe so. I mean,
Okay.
I've done hundreds of designations for inmates across the country throughout my career. The main thing is, going back to that pre-sentence report, looking at the offense and conduct, and then when he's had been interviewed, did he take responsibility? Does the things that reports about him teaching these classes, are they backed up by when he met with the probation officer? Did he actually accept responsibility? All those things come into play, but at the end of the day, there's still going to be a judgment. So while it'll be more interesting to see if he is sentenced to, 3 to 5 or 7 years or 10 years, will he still continue to teach classes? Will he still continue to fight for other inmates? That's the test is going to come when the judgment comes down. So I think it's a little bit of theater as far as the defense attorney, not necessarily being emotional, because that's not a problem, but I just think that's not going to make a major impact on the judge's decision, because he's going to ultimately weigh all of the information that has been gathered throughout this case.
Got another question for you from Brittany Curry. Since a lot of countries deny entry to a felon, how would his international travel be affected?
Well, once he's released, he's probably going to be on supervised release. So any travel that he has, he's going to have to go through his probation officer. So during his supervised release, so any travel outside of the jurisdiction that he releases from will have to be cleared by the probation office.
So Safa, something interesting is going on here too. I want to mention Nicole Westmoreland has been saying, Mr. Combs was there. He said, listen, oh, sorry. Mr. Combs is just a man, and he's made some mistakes. He has flaws like we all do. But how many of us can say that we've helped so many lives, countless lives? He's been in jail, and he's remorseful. I spend every day speaking with him. The judge kind of took objection earlier on about where he basically said it doesn't appear that Sean Combs is really accepting responsibility for what he did here. Is the defense downplaying the crimes too much? Is this going to work against them in terms of sentencing?
I don't think that they're trying to downplay the crimes, but what I think they're trying to do is highlight the other aspects that the judge needs to and will ultimately consider. So somewhat taking accountability, yes, and there's going to be a need for that from Mr. Combs's behalf, but also saying, yes, judge, and it's towing a fine line because in their mind, there is still some dispute on whether or not these are actual victims or dispute about the conviction and some of the conduct or the alleged facts that the judge is going to consider. So towing that line between accepting responsibility and accountability for that, but also taking that accountability and highlighting all of the other things that Mr. Combs is known for. And I think that it's very unique here. And I really hope I'm not wrong as I'm saying this. I think that Ms. Westmoreland, she is the African-American attorney on the team.
Yes.
And so I think it's very interesting that she is delivering the statement at this moment for Mr. Combs, who is obviously a Black man who, you know, is one of the pioneers in the hip hop world and in the entertainment world. And again, to her point earlier, is he has been one of the few or one of the first that has been able to sort of leverage, you know, Black or African-American talent and things of that nature into the entertainment industry. And also to her point of his impact on her when she had her visit to DC. I don't think that that will significantly impact the judge's decision, but it's interesting to see the lens that they are trying to convey to the court through this statement with this attorney.
By the way, Sierra, we put up a poll regarding one of the bombshells that came out today. How do you feel that Diddy lined up speaking events, even though he's in custody still? 45% say disrespectful to victims, 26% say moving too fast, 18% just business, 11% say smart PR. That was a big bombshell, right? And you had mentioned why it confuses you with respect. I think you said the math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing, Jesse. And I'm not good at math, but it's not mathing, okay? So that poll, it is interesting because while we were on air, you broke that bombshell, and I think I even interrupted you. I was so shocked to hear that according to federal prosecutors, P. Diddy has lined up this speaking engagement for next week in Miami. But let me go back to the math and break it down if I can. So P. Diddy's team, the defense, is asking for 14 months, essentially time served, but not quite, because he was arrested and booked into MDC Brooklyn on September 16th, 2024. So we're not quite at the 13-month situation because right now we're only at October 3rd. So if they're asking for 14 months, let's say they get it. That's what they wanted, right? So that's a little bit more time. I mean, that's pushing us into November. So if he has this speaking engagement rather, set for next week, why are they asking for the 14 months? That doesn't make sense to me. But honestly, if you're asking me about the poll, I am a little shocked that there is this alleged speaking engagement that he has booked. However, it is P. Diddy, so how surprised should we be?
Dr. Hendricks, that's a good point. Dr. Hendricks, does it make sense to you?
Well, if he gets the 14-month sentence, a year and a day sentence triggers 47 days of good conduct time. So he's already served a year in prison. So if he gets the 14 months,
he can get out.
He can get out within a few days. I don't have a computer in front of me to do the calculation.
That makes it seem like he really thought he's getting out.
Right, exactly. So they're hedging their bet that he's going to get that 14-month sentence, and he's prepared to do the things that he wants to do in the community and beyond once he gets out. And I think that's why they've established a date for this speaking engagement in Miami.
They were not. The prosecution was not happy about that. They basically said it shows us hubris about it. Super chat question from Christina Lester. Thank you, Christina. Really appreciate it. Jesse, will Ben Chu be joining us today? He will not be joining us today, but my gosh, isn't Ben always in our minds? Isn't he always in our hearts? So let's keep it there. No, but Ben's a busy guy. Won't be making it today, but maybe we'll be able to relay that question to him nonetheless. Okay, Joe Rod says, I'm still laughing that the Punisher is at the court. Yes, he is there. Nicole Westmoreland, in the MDC, Mr. Combs started asking people their dreams. That's how Free Game for Diddy was born. No one's done this in the MDC before. Is that true?
I believe so. You know, as we know, Mr. Combs is a very creative individual, and I'm sure he probably had a little bit of homework done on the evidence-based courses that they already have at the facility. So I'm not surprised that he came up with this particular course for the individuals, and especially since he's not going to get paid for facilitating this class, so why not call it free game? And the timing of it all makes sense as well, because I'm sure he didn't have time during the trial phase to have time to be talking to inmates on a day-to-day basis because he was preparing for trial. But post-sentence, since July, I mean, he's had enough time to create this course and begin facilitating it to the other individuals in the building. And of course, at the end of the day, this is to help him ultimately because he's not going to be able to benefit from any type of courses because he's going to have to serve a day for a day at 85% if he does get above 14 months.
Hey, Safa, here's a question for you. This is from Ray Santiago. Can the president pardon him?
Well, yes, he can. At this point, Mr. Combs has been convicted. And so now if the judge not the judge, but if Mr. Trump wanted to, he could certainly consider a pardon for Mr. Combs.
You think he's going to do it?
Nah. I think there was conversation about it, and then Trump said something to the effect that maybe Diddy was on the opposite side of the political spectrum as him. So I think Mr. Trump's going to leave that one alone.
What did you make, Dr. Hendricks, of the video? So we've been playing it a little bit. Have you ever seen that before, where a video has been put together highlighting the achievements, the career, the volunteer service, the benefits someone has provided to a community? Have you seen that? Has that been effective before?
No, I have not seen it before, but obviously we're now living in a technology age, and I think this may be the start of something. I'm sure other individuals who have access to footage or B-roll or photos that they may be able to show their goodwill in the communities that they come from across the country, they may be able to establish something like that, like Mr. Combs is doing, to show his human side. And this should be something to illustrate for all individuals that are being incarcerated across this country, that they may be humanized and that they may have to take responsibility for their actions, but they still can contribute something to society as they move forward. So I think this is a good thing that he's doing to show his human side, even though he's convicted of the two counts that he was. And I believe that this could be a start of something in the future for other individuals who are facing federal and state time.
Sierra, there's a lot of question, a lot of feeling about the emotion there today, right? So there's a poll up that says, how do you think Diddy will react when he hears his fate? 37% say he'll be emotional, 29% say calm and composed, 20% will say shocked, 14% say defiant. What is the feeling outside that courthouse? What has been the feeling during the course of this trial? There are complicated emotions for people. I think a big part of it was, the Sean Combs that we knew, the Sean Combs that was beloved, the Sean Combs that was renowned. To hear the allegations against him and to hear what he was convicted of was a shock to many people. And it kind of goes into that poll about, does your feeling about him change? Does your view on him change? But there are complicated feelings where people don't believe the victims in this case. There are people who don't believe he should have been convicted. There are people who believe he should have been convicted across the board. What is that feeling that you're seeing from outside the courthouse and as you've been covering this trial?
I think it's hard, right? Because the reason that we all are following this case is because we know the name Sean P. Diddy Combs because he was a celebrity. And that's really what it is. When we know a celebrity, we know them from afar. We idolize them because of their music or movies, etc. And we don't necessarily know what's going on behind closed doors. But now with this trial, with everything seemingly out in the open, it does, to your point in that poll we spoke about earlier, change the course of public opinion in regards to P. Diddy and the allegation and now conviction that he has. So I guess it remains to be seen what sort of reaction Diddy himself, Sean Combs, will have when this sentence is handed down. As for what's going on right here, I've seen a little bit of everything. Earlier throughout this live stream today, I've heard multiple people running up and down the street yelling, "Free Diddy." So there are still supporters here for P. Diddy. Additionally, I just saw a man moments ago who came over live streaming and said, "I've been watching Law&Crime. I love you guys." So you know we have people here who are watching our live stream down at the courthouse supporting what we're talking about here. So it's an interesting juxtaposition of emotions here on both sides.
I want to get 2 quick points from both my guests before I have to sign them off. Sierra's going to stay with us, of course. So there's an update here, Dr. Hendricks, from court, Nicole Westmoreland. There is no benefit to warehousing Mr. Combs in prison. Thank you. Judge asked Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele says, Brian Steele, one of his defense attorneys, we wanted his children to come up, then show the video. Judge says, please come forward. My name is Quincy Brown. He's my father. So we're about to hear from Quincy Brown.
Yes,
no benefit to warehousing Mr. Combs in prison?
Well, I mean, of course, the defense is going to say that because, you know, they don't want their client to be behind bars. So, I mean, that, but in terms of him, you know, being held accountable for his actions, and the judge is going to have to make that decision, and that's why they have the high responsibility of being a federal judge, is that they are going to be able to measure all of the information based on the evidence, based on criminal history, based on what he can bring to the table in the community later on in his life, and ultimately that judge is going to have to make that decision. So, but I'm not surprised that his defense attorney said there's no public benefit from it. So, I mean, and that's a question for a lot of different individuals who are incarcerated, but ultimately he's going to have to take responsibility for his actions, and it may include some jail time.
They're moving pretty quickly, Safa, through these statements from family. Quincy Brown says, this is his son, he is transformed. He will not jeopardize his freedom again. As his children, we wish to heal together. Next up, my name is Justin Combs. I ask you give my father a second chance. My father is my superhero. My father always told me to believe in God. I talk to my father every day, every other hour. Next up, I'm Christian Combs. I'm the one who most resembled my pops, my mannerism. My whole life I studied my dad up and down. He is the greatest man in the world, my superhero. Is this going to have an impact on the judge's decision, Safa?
I think it's most certainly going to have an impact. And I think that this, in part, is going to be the defense's strongest tactic to get the judge to come in alignment with their sentencing request. Right now, what you see is obviously the children of Mr. Combs who are really delivering heartfelt, heart impacting, and pulling at the judge's heartstrings for leniency for their father. And these are the individuals that truly have firsthand relationships and that will be impacted the most with Mr. Combs' absence. So I think that what they're going to be saying and what his other children continue to say will have a compelling effect on the judge. So compelling that, you know, he'd give him time served or the 14 months essentially, probably not. But I think that these statements from the children are going to really echo in the judge's mind as he considers his sentence.
Safa Robinson-Ferrer, Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, thank you both so much for coming on. Really, really appreciated your expert insight and analysis into this as we continue into another hour of the Sean Diddy Combs sentencing. Sierra Gillespie and I will be right back. We have new guests coming on. Again, I said full day affair. We don't know how long this sentencing is going to happen, but we're covering it for you right here on Law&Crime. We'll be right back.